there was a headline that came out about the NFL draft that said 3 black quarterbacks were drafted in the top 10. And as a Caucasian male, we look at it and say we're trying to eliminate racism. We're trying to eliminate those type of comments, because if somebody says, well, 3 white quarterbacks go in, I don't feel right about that either. But I understand we're trying to bring awareness to a situation, but I feel, in my opinion, we say that there three quarterbacks were drafted and we post their pictures, and then people come to the conclusion that it was 3 African Americans that were drafted. And I feel that there's a headline of being that it trying to explain how I put this, but there's
like the fact that they're just so conscious of
it's very conscious of it, and and I think it's great. I think it's great for the game. I think that there should be more minority coaches and quarterbacks in the game.
True.
But I don't know, is that a side of racism too towards a Caucasian person that says, well, 3 black quarterbacks were drafted? Well, why is it 3 black and just not 3 quarterbacks drafted?
The reason is because it's normal for 3 white quarterbacks to be drafted, like first.
For sure.
Like so at the end of the day, one thing is a regular occurrence and the other thing is like, really, that happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, if 3 white quarterbacks are drafted and no black quarterbacks are drafted, that's not news, because it's a typical draft cycle. So I know bringing it up sometimes, I look at the internet, I see white people's comments, and I think to myself, like, I can get it. It's like they're throwing it in your face. Like, is it necessary to say 3 black? But it kind of is. Just like when a black person wins the Super Bowl as a quarterback, it's news.
But wasn't it the bigger thing was 2 black quarterbacks made the Super Bowl?
That was a huge thing,
right? Too.
But again,
first time ever.
So in sports, this is the problem. In sports, obviously, black and white, whatever. Quarterback is the last place where it's expected the white guy is the only one who can do it. He's the only one mentally capable to do it. If you look back over, now I'm an NFL person.
For sure.
So if you look back over the years, they don't even get the opportunity to do it typically over the years until like a Randall Cunningham or Warren Moon. And even if you look at Warren Moon, he had to start off in the CFL and go fucking crazy.
Years. I mean,
he was down there fucking going nuts.
He did
winning championships and everything before they finally let him in the NFL. So how many other black quarterbacks would have already made these breakthroughs had they just been allowed? Because if you go back to Lamar Jackson, who is an MVP in the league, when he was coming out of college, are you going to change position?
Right.
It's the first thing they're asked. Oh, you're athletic. Would you be a receiver?
For sure.
They've been doing this, but it used to be, we're going to do this until we make you actually change position. And very few actual black quarterbacks.
We saw it with Terrell Pryor a little bit. I'm drawing a blank on other guys, but there are other guys that were drafted as quarterbacks that changed position.
Yeah, because that's what the NFL pushes you to do. Antoine Randall L. I mean, the NFL pushes for that. Right. So now guys are pushing back. No, I'm a quarterback, because that's what Lamar Jackson kept saying. I played quarterback my whole life. I'm a quarterback. Jalen Hurts, same thing. The man was in the Super Bowl throwing for 300 yards just a year ago.
Just got paid as a quarterback.
But 3 years before that, are you going to change position? This is what black quarterbacks have been going through the entire time.
Right.
So it's a big deal when 2 quarterbacks are that level of successful to the hey, these are the 2 guys in the Super Bowl. Man, apparently they can play the position. So when you have an NFL draft where the first 3 quarterbacks are black, that has never happened. So it's history. So I know saying like, 3 black quarterbacks, but it's literal history, and any other history will be reported on.
For sure. And I think I've seen the headline on TikTok and Instagram of that, and that's why I brought it up. But I don't necessarily agree with, is it the racist thing to say? But I think I kind of use it as like a motivation. The one thing I always say is, everybody can start out in everybody starts out in a different position in life, whether you're poor, rich, in the middle, wherever you're at. Everybody has an opportunity to get that end goal, but some journeys a little harder than somebody else's, and you can make everything out of it that you want out of it. But the only person you have to blame is yourself for not working hard enough to get out of that situation. Thanks. And I think that somebody that an African American that's in poverty, that could be down, sees that headline. I want to be like Bryce Young. I want to be like C.J. Stroud, and it allows them to motivate themselves to get to that point. And I think I use it as a motivational tactic or factor in. Hey, I might be in a bad situation now, but I'm able to be one of those guys come when I'm 19, 20 years old, able to push myself through. And I don't have an issue with it, but I've seen a lot of backlash on social media that says, hey, we're trying to reform here. Why is this being brought up as a topic?
It'll be brought up until it's a normal thing. Like once it becomes, this is just, it's typical. Like, 5 quarterbacks were selected, 3 were black, 2 were white. Now it's not a big deal anymore.
Right.
But it was the first time it ever happened. So it is news. Like, and as it was happening, just to, as a regular human, I was noticing. I was sitting there, I was texting Mike, man, The top 2 quarterbacks was black guys. That's major. Damn, 3 quarterbacks in the top 5
Shit,
black?
no, you should know shit.
Because it's a major thing. It's never happened.
For sure.
Never happened.
Like, it's never happened.
Well,
period.
even like in baseball for the Marlins GM, right?
Right.
Like first, and it was like new. It was hard. It was just big news for it just to be Asian woman is now a GM, and it's just like I want to see the rings. I don't know if when they're going to win a World Series and whatnot, but. I don't know. I don't know if I really cared to hear if it was like Asian or whatnot. I want to see the rings. Like I want to see victories. Like meritocracy is a thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's how she will be judged. Like,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, same thing with these quarterbacks, same thing with anybody. You either go in that motherfucker and win or you
not.
coming out.
Exactly.
Like
Right.
that's still gonna happen. So it can be celebrated that hey, these 3 kids, if they go in there and they suck ass, they're gonna all be out of the NFL soon.
For sure.
Their
For
leash
sure.
is not gonna be very long. I don't give a
Performance
fuck
speaks.
how I don't give a fuck how excited we were and how
Exactly,
historical it
man.
was.
Just
You will
like
be out of there. So and
Just
I think it's okay.
in,
though.
they'd be out.
Right.
I think it's okay to say,
think it's
hey,
okay.
man, the first Asian woman to be, that's major in a high ass position. Like, that's a high ass position. That's typically a white man's position. It's not a white woman's position. It's not a black man's position. It's not an Asian woman's position. It's a white man's position. So for her to be in that position, that's a major thing. Now, if she fails, guess what? She'll get the same treatment that those white men before her have gotten because they all are judged the same way. You get your ass out of here if you're not getting us
You ain't
wins.
getting it done.
If you don't get
Yeah.
the rings, we'll see you later.
Right. What
It
have you
was
done for me
nice.
lately?
It was cool. We had the historical moment. You have failed miserably. Peace. She's going to get the same thing that they would get. So at the end, the results are what matters. But some of this shit needs to be celebrated because it needs to be a point where we don't need to celebrate it.
Exactly.
And that's what I think it really comes down to. It has to get to a point where we don't even have to have the conversation. Like every year at the end of the NFL season, you know what conversation is going to come up? Black head coaches.
Black head coaches.
Yeah.
What's the ratio? What?
Black owners. Shit
Right.
like
Yeah,
that.
but black owners, it's not even a conversation.
No.
Because that doesn't exist. So that's not even one to be had. But black coaches is a thing. Like 70% of your players are black.
Right.
10% are coaches. I
Well,
mean,
you know
just on a mathematical level, that already seems off.
Yeah.
You're telling me none of these people that played the game are capable?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
the problem
but the
is
people who
that-
are making the decisions look like the people who are there choosing.
That makes
And
sense,
it'll go back
right?
to the
It never
meritocracy
will.
that you spoke on in the reverse. So
Yeah.
you're a baseball guy and maybe you don't know these names, but in the NFL it's Eric Bieniemy. Everything is about your success level, correct? That's how you should be going up or going down.
For sure.
This man has been a winner. Like I think it's fair to say this man has. So he's been on Super Bowl staff after Super Bowl staff.
Right.
He's got the best offense in the league 5 years in a row. He's yet to receive a head coaching job. He happens to be black. I don't think there's like a hard draw into why he hasn't gotten a job.
Right.
But I
Because
also-
we've seen offensive coordinators get head coaching jobs who've never called a play. Because I don't know they like
Never
to throw
called
out
a
there.
play.
Well, does he call the plays? That's the question.
that's the thing.
I saw a man who's never even been an OC get that
Get it.
job multiple times. And Matt Nagy, who came from the same system,
Got a
under
job.
the same coach, he got a job.
Right.
Right.
Why? Because the same coach exists, right? Which means guess what Matt Nagy wasn't doing? Calling the plays. And I can name countless coaches who didn't call the plays, who got the job before this guy. The success is there. There's no failure. You have none of the off the field issues where you can say, well, he had this thing or that thing. What is the thing that's stopping him from getting the opportunity to fail or succeed?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, everybody's getting an opportunity. Either you're gonna do well with it or you're gonna not.
Right.
Why isn't he getting the opportunity that other guys are getting?